Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and today we're going to be doing a little thrift flip. I thrifted this little, just kind of tabletop, I keep in my head thinking candle holder, and I'm going, it's a clock. So it's kind of in the style of like a grandfather's clock, but mini size. And so I think this is going to be an adorable little project. I have checked, and this clock face doesn't want to come out, and I don't want to break it, so we're just going to work around it. So we're going to do a little milk painting on this to start. So I have Hotel Robe milk paint by Fusion. Carry this in the shop, queenbeecreationshome.com. But to start, typically with milk paint, it's shelf stable because it's a powder. So typically you would mix 50-50. So 50% water to milk paint, and then stir it all up till it's nice and smooth. This is a small project. I'm not going to need lots, and I can mix up more if I need it. You don't want to mix up more than you need, because once it's mixed up, its shelf life is very short. You could pop it into a jar into your fridge for a couple of days, but you know, that's about it. So I'm just going to add my milk paint to my water, and I like doing it that way. I like adding the paint to the water so that when I go to mix it, it's not all sitting clumped in the bottom. So you're just going to mix this. I like to let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes before I like to use it, just so that all the milk solids have really been incorporated in. So I'm just going to stir it, sit it off to the side, let it sit for about 10-15 minutes. In the meantime, while it's doing that, I am going to scuff sand this just because it's pretty slick. All right, before I start to paint all this, what I do want to do is just kind of map out what elements from the Alfred Peets & Co. inlay we're going to use on this and get them prepared. Since I need to embed them into wet paint, which will be the second coat, admittedly, I just want to have it all ready to go. So I need to kind of see the elements out, see the size of them relative to the piece. Hopefully, hopefully they're a size that works. And that way, then when it comes time for the second coat, I'm already there. You can see that it becomes important to start to map this process out. I've taken this piece of trim and I have removed the gold part from the bottom of it. And this is going to fit just perfectly around the base. And this piece is going to fit perfectly in this indentation all the way around, just to make my life a little more complicated. So, you know, it's important with these pieces as well to make sure that they're gonna fit, you know, face down on there. And so I've got the sides and the front, and now I've got the back. So this is taken care of. There's gonna be nothing coming across here because this is an open back. So I have all this space, which enables me to do something maybe a little larger, but you know, it pays to map it out first, and then keep your little piles of things, if you're going side by side, separate, so that you stand a chance of remembering what goes where. All right, to get started, every time you go to use this, just give it another stir because the milk solids do start to kind of settle a little bit. But we're just going to get our first coat on here. Get it kind of sticking. We're just creating a base for the first coat, and likely I'll do 2 coats because this is so slick, and then try embedding my inlay into the 3rd coat. All right, what I have is we've got our clock here with its basic paint layer down. I do have a little bit of pre-mixed milk paint. I just want to, it's been sitting for a bit, so I just want to stir that up so that we get those milk solids back mixed in. And just letting it sit takes it from being greeny to kind of creamy. Now, what I want to do before I paint, I want to just lightly mist, whoops, my inlays. This is just going to kind of start to activate that paint. It's going to help it to adhere nicely to my painted surface. And so I'm going to kind of put a coat of my milk paint. So we want to lay this into a wet surface. So in this case, we're laying it down into our wet paint. And so that artist grade paint on the inlay is going to merge with that fresh paint that we just laid down. So I'm just lightly kind of putting it into the paint layer so that it is one with the paint. I can't remember if I painted that or not, but I did. And I've got this little piece to go on there. There we go. And this piece is going to come up into here. I can just see underneath there now that didn't do a great job catching it all. There we go. Perfect. And now we're going to do these little pieces. Now, the process for applying these is the same regardless of whatever your painted surface is. What will vary is the removal of them. So we're going to attach our inlays, and because our paint does not have a built-in sealer, we're going to leave these to dry. If we had a built-in sealer with our paint, or we were dropping it into sealer, then it's a different process. We can't let it dry fully because it's going to adhere fully to the sealer, right? That just kind of makes sense when you stop and think about it. But it's one of those things that some people just don't pay attention to, and they don't stop to think of, and then their inlay is permanently adhered to their surface. And yeah, that's just not good. So these are those little stripes, just see which side is which, that we had cut from that trim to kind of wrap around our project. And I'll attach them to the other sides once I get to those other sides. So I'm going to be able to kind of rotate this a little bit now and just do the same on all the other sides to get this adhered. Moment of truth. You can see that these have all gone opaque, right, to the paper, and now we want to kind of mist them lightly to get them to go a little bit more translucent. Doesn't need to be as wet as that one, but see how that goes. We want to kind of lightly mist them so that that paint that's attached to the carrier page starts to loosen up. We want it to kind of re-engage, become wet again, just so that as we then go to pull the paper from it, it will release, hopefully leaving paint behind. Again, I haven't done this with milk paint, but so far I'm a little concerned about whether it works. All right. Yahoo! Look at that. As I'm pulling this, so you can't see it. We're pulling that carrier page away slowly, and we've got a beautiful imprint. Now you can save these sheets paint side up to be able to use on future projects. They'll be a little bit more faded each time, but that's the beauty of this. So I'm just going to slowly do this process over all of our little clock and let it totally dry before we move on to do anything else. All right, so when we go to kind of sand this, I like to kind of just knock back any of the top edges on this, just so that you get a nice smooth finish. But what you don't want to do is sand back and forth. You just sand in one direction, blow the paint dust away. If I went in one direction and then back again without lifting my cloth or blowing the dust away, I would be pushing that loose pigment back into my project. So we just gently go one direction. You know, if I want to keep sanding, keep blowing. All right. When we go to seal our project, we could take a clear varnish, not a water-based product, but a solvent-based product. So this one is by Pentart, and we could just paint it. We could just seal it using a paintbrush, no problem. It will not smear it. It will not lift it. However, if I took just a normal polyacrylic water-based sealer and I brushed it on, that water in that sealer is going to reactivate this paint and I will smear my work. So I can use a product like this. I'm not using it today because it's in gloss and I don't want this to have a gloss finish. So what I do, I actually want to wax it, but the wax will smear it as well. So I'm going to take, this happens to be matte. It's just a clear polyacrylic, and I am just going to lightly mist my work a couple of times. So it will seal all of my images on there, all of my inlays on there. It'll seal that paint and then allow me to go and do my wax finishes or anything. I just have to block this off so I can do the two little edges on the top of my, up here. I just need to get to those still. But it's just a couple of little tricks with the sanding and then the sealing. Once I've done 2 or 3 really light coats of this or any other version of this, these ones, none of the nozzles work anymore. But if you want to use a brush, go with a solvent-based sealer. If you want to use wax, you're going to have to spray first, just to be able to get a bit of a seal so that your wax isn't smearing it. If you're using water-based, it has to be the spray first then. Just so again, you're not going to all this trouble only to have all of your work smear. The inlays from Iron Orchid Design versus using maybe like a transfer give really kind of a different look. Because you're able to sand them, you can age them, you can distress them. They give a little bit more of a worn look because they're not going to be perfect. You know, like even down on the base here, you can see that it kind of has some natural wear looking to it. It's still a little wet from my waxing, but it gives a much softer, more age-worn look. I love the look of these, and I love the fact that I can distress them. You just have to bear in mind like a couple of extra little steps, certainly when it comes to sealing them, because it's not a plastic film, it's live paint. So you know, anything water-based going over top of it is going to reactivate that paint. So, you know, a little bit of care and you get kind of a gorgeous, gorgeous aged finish. This little clock, rather than the dark heavy brown, is just super cute now. And I love that new inlay from Iron Orchid Designs. It's just gorgeous. I love the patterns. Probably because I'm a blue girl. Wearing blue as well. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this kind of update. You could be doing it on big projects, small projects. It's the beauty of the inlays. You can cut them down and just piece them together and use them however you want, much the same as we did with some of the designs from this. Let me know if you've used the inlays before. It worked just great on the milk paint, which I hadn't done before, which is why I wanted to give it a try since I have some milk paint in the shop, letting people know whether or not it would work with something like this, but treat it just like any other open, unsealed paint and you're good to go. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.